So today we're going to be talking about dependent origination. So to get there, we have to figure out what the human being is.
We're going deep.
We're going deep. So the human being is made up of mental formations, right? Physical, mental, perception, consciousness, right? So let's go one by one. Okay, these are called the 5 aggregates. Yes, we are going deep because we have been at the same place for 5 years. It's time to move on, don't you think? Okay, if you can get dependent origination, if you can actually get it, you will sail on. But if you don't get it, you just try some more. Okay? So, 5 aggregates. Number 1, physical, which is called rupa. You guys should remember rupa because that's like the body. It's physical. We're made up of countless material elements. Would you all agree to that? Like we can't count how many elements we're made up of. So that's the physical. Then we have feelings. Experiences of pleasant or unpleasant, neutral sensations, right? Okay, that's contact. That's through contact with a sense object, right? So our senses feel something. That's feeling. We feel, you see someone you love, you feel that. That's a pleasant feeling. You think about somebody that died, that's an unpleasant feeling. You think about somebody dying, that's unpleasant, right? It's also perception. So we've got feelings, we've got perception. They're a little bit different. And then we have what they call volition formation. And those are various positives, negatives, qualities accompanied by intention. And that determines action by way of body, speech, and mind. So basically, it's what you say, what you do, and what you think. And then we have consciousness. Now, I made myself notes here. We had consciousness, the basis of knowing, enabling all the mental aggregates to operate. Consciousness refers to seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, that kind of thing. Okay, so we've got all this that makes up the human being. That's what makes us up. Okay, we think that we're this one thing. Me, I. But we're not that. Because we're made up of so many different things. How can we be that one thing? Okay, so then when we go into all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. What does impermanent mean?
It's not lasting forever.
Right.
But it's fluid. It's always changing.
It's fleeting.
All conditioned phenomena are unenduring, forever changing. Impermanent, forever changing, and all things are non-self. That's where we get stuck. That's where we get stuck, thinking that it's non-self. All things are non-self. We want to own it and make it ours and it be part of us, but it's really not. There's nothing actually that is ours. Rebuttal?
No.
You have to think about it.
Mhm.
But how can it be yours? You're not going to be here.
Yeah.
And it may. When I die, I don't know. My car may still be here. It's not my car. It's just a car.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, if we start to look at things like this, non-self, non-lasting, impermanent, which means it's going to go away. See? It'll go away. We all do. Everything does. Nothing in this world lasts forever. So when we know that and we're thinking about the dependent origination, so everything depends on a thought or an action, right? Anything that happens in this world, anything that happens depends on something else, depends on something, right? Like in order for it to rain, has to be some kind of clouds going on, has to be some kind of, I'm not a meteorologist, but something happens out there other than just raindrops coming from the sky.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yep.
So this is dependent origination. That's what that is. That means everything depends on something. It originates from something else.
Mhm.
It's Bubba, he's online.
Yep. Everybody's online tonight. Hi, Bubba. Hi, Donna. All right. So this is how it's a concept that is difficult for our minds to understand because we are taught that everything is ours. That's my car. And we may say we know we're going to die, but then when death comes, we say, "Oh, I can't believe that this is happening."
Mhm. Like I have a friend right now whose grandma is in the process of dying. Like she's at the bedside, so she's like in the gasping.
Right.
To me, when she's talking to me about this, I'm like, oh, your grandma's probably not there. It's just her body at this
Right.
point. And they're like, yeah, it's just the anticipation of waiting for her to actually die and everything. They're like,
Mhm.
it's sad and everything like that, but we know it's coming. And I'm like, then why are we sad?
Right.
We know it's coming. Like she's had Alzheimer's for
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
And at this point, like her body is just
Yeah.
giving out.
We all do it. We are all going to leave this world not alive.
Yeah. So
For sure.
yeah, very sure.
But yet we have conflict with that.
But we see it as a permanent change, but then if we think, because we don't think that everything is impermanent. So it's that oxymoron in our own mindset that, so this is going to be a permanent change. Well, the last breath I took was a permanent change from the next breath I take.
Right.
And the first breath you ever take is a change too.
Yes. So, we don't know what death really is. We just know we're not here. This physical body is not here anymore. The physical body is not here anymore. We don't know after that. Right?
Yeah.
And we don't know anything at all because we've never done it. We're still here. Right? But if we just embrace change, impermanence, if we know that, and non-self. So when I say, and I say this a lot, it's not about me. Not about you, not about you, not about me. Whatever's happening, unless you're doing it, it's not about you. And if we can, non-self, that's non-self. Whatever's happening outside of you is not you. Got nothing to do with you. Don't try to take it on. If someone asks for your help and you want to give it, give it. But don't get involved. Even if you're giving them help, you don't have to expect something in return, and you don't have to expect an outcome. Because you can't. If you're doing something for someone out of loving kindness, you cannot expect an outcome, or, well, you can, but it's going to create suffering. If you expect an outcome, or if you expect them to return the favor, or, anything like that. So these are like, it's deep. Yes, it's deep, but it's not so deep you can't understand it. So if you practice that, allowing yourself to know what your thoughts are. See, because the only way to stop the suffering, because all of this, everything I just talked about, if you don't recognize it and don't embrace it, it's going to create suffering, because these are truths. This is actual truth. Like, you can't get around it. We're made up of the physical body. We're made up of feelings. We're made up of perception. All these things, those are all true. So we can't deny them. So all we can do is go, okay, this is what I'm made up of. So when we're thinking about the right thought and the right view, this is part of the right thought and right view. You understand?
Yeah, that changes things, because part of me was like, are these things, I'm not saying good or bad or anything, are they problematic, the things that we're made of? But if it's just, it is what it is kind of thing, like you can't change what
No,
we're
just speaking truth. This is just what it is. It is what it is. All these little sayings I've said to you before, I'm saying them again, because that's all it is. Like, it's a truth. We tend to think that if we don't speak it, it's not going to be true. Like, we can hide from it. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, most of us think that if we just set it aside and don't look at it, don't talk about it, don't think about it, it'll go away.
It just grows.
Yes, it grows. And you never become free. But if you embrace this truth, which is what it is, satta, truth, if you embrace the truth and okay, so I'm made up of this physical body with feelings and sensations and thoughts and, all of this, intentions, but I don't have to direct those things into a place where it will create suffering for me. Do you understand?
Say that one again.
I don't have to direct those things. Like, okay, let's take the violation formation, which basically is negative qualities accompanied by intention. Negative or positive qualities accompanied by intention, determination, action by way of body, speech, and mind. So in other words, I'm picking up this pen. That's violation formation, because I spoke, I'm going to pick up this pen. I picked it up with my hand, body, speech, and I thought, I'm going to pick up the pen. You understand? Everything we do occurs because we have a thought. Everything. Like, even when we breathe, even though we're doing it subconsciously, if we sat here and didn't do that, in the back of our mind somewhere, it's going, you need to breathe. Because sometimes we'll forget. And we'll go, I wasn't breathing. So everything is like that. If we think in our mind, okay, this is why sati, mindfulness, is so important. Because everything we're doing is creating something. All conditioned phenomena is impermanent, it's unenduring, and it's non-self. Remember that as we go through this. Okay? Remember that as we go through this. It's not me. It's not going to last. It is going to go away. It's going to die away. It's not going to be here forever. You know, if you know these things, then you can start going, okay, I can deal with this situation because it's not me, right? It's not going to last forever. It's going to go away. Now, how do I want to deal with it? This is you having sati. How do I want to deal with it? You're taking your thoughts away from your feelings. Okay? Because if you leave them in your feelings, I know from experience, right? We tend to react from our emotion. But if we take things and go, wait a minute, let me breathe for a minute. Let me look at what is going on inside of me, not what's going on out there. Because what's going on out there has got nothing to do with you. It's not you. But we want to blame it on them or it, right? It's always something, there's a reason why I reacted the way I reacted. Now, I told y'all a story about me this week, right? Did I say it was because of them that I reacted this way? No, I said I dealt with it in not the right way. I could have dealt with it in a better way. But I went on my feelings and my emotions instead of stopping myself and thinking and taking a breath before I reacted to a situation. You understand? Mm-hmm. Every situation is like that. You can take a minute. I did not have to react at that moment. I could have took a minute and go, okay, how am I going to speak to this person? What way can I do it in loving kindness? But I didn't. You see? And just that quickly, I created suffering inside my own self. Had nothing to do with that other person. Because I regretted speaking the way I spoke, because that's not how I want to speak in my life. You understand? What I do has nothing to do with anyone else. It has to do with what kind of person I want to be. Got nothing to do with anybody else. I don't care what everybody else does. I'm not everybody else. You understand? This is how every single day of my life, I evaluate every situation that comes in. Some people say it's tiring to do that. It's tiring not to do it. Because if we don't do it, we're in suffering. That's tiring. When I do it, I can sit in peace, in calm, and quiet.
I'm going to ask a question.
Okay.
So let's take the situation with the infection, right?
Mm-hmm.
The infection, we think, is caused by people not doing what they should be doing and taking the bandages and things.
Yes.
So in that situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the right way to perceive that?
To perceive it or deal with it?
Deal with it, I guess. And so the perception of it is that there's an infection because the bandages weren't
changed.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's
a truth.
Okay,
that's a truth. That's what the doctor said. The bandages weren't changed. There's an infection.
The truth. And there's the right way to perceive it is there's really no blame on that.
It is. What good is it going to do to blame?
It's
no,
the negativity.
Yes. Okay. I know what happened. They know what happened.
Right,
There's no question about what happened.
right.
It's what are we going to do from here?
So it's not that there, and this is the wrong word, but this is how I want to say it, that an injustice was done. They didn't do their job.
There's injustice. Like there's stuff happening every day of our life.
Right.
Are we going to suffer over everything that happens? Or are we just going to go, okay, what can we do about it now?
Mhm.
Like in this world, especially in America, we're taught that's an injustice and we've got to do something about it. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's my whole career
Mm-hmm.
field that I work in.
Mm-hmm. But am I going to sue them because he got an infection? No, I'm not. Is he? Probably not. We're just from here on out, from that day when we found out there was an infection, they changed the bandage every day.
And then he takes the responsibility of making sure that they're going to change that
Yes.
bandage.
Yeah.
And so let's now go back and put that into perspective of what you're teaching. Okay,
Mhm.
so the truth is that this happened.
Yes.
What we do
The
with
thought process is at the moment that this has happened and you realize the truth, you choose not to go back and look at the blame game, but to move forward is the thought.
Yeah. What are we
And
going to do? How are we going to fix
And
it?
that's the origination of thought at
Yes.
that point. Whether I want to go forward and be positive or go back or go forward and be negative. It's
Right.
still moving forward
Right.
either way it is.
Right.
But the thought origination is what I'm going to do
How do we?
with the,
Yeah.
with this information.
Like blaming isn't going to fix it. My intention is to help it heal. So how do we do that? We just make sure his bandage is changed every day. This is how, and we really have to, because we are taught, every day of our life to blame, who did that?
Always.
Who
As a
did,
kid, who
who did
did
it?
it? Who
yes,
didn't wash the dishes? Who
Yeah.
dropped the food?
who did it?
Right.
But how about, hey, let's fix this.
Right.
That would be so much better for the children. Instead of who did it, who cares who did it? Let's fix it. Can we all work together to fix it? Yeah.
There's an incident that happened when I was young in my career, and we're going towards year end, and there's like a big dollar amount, right?
Mhm.
And I know that I can hide it for 2 days, and we can go to the next year and fix the problem there, or I can go to my boss and say I effed it,
Yeah.
and we can go forward. So it took a lot of intestinal fortitude to go to my boss and say I effed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she looked at me and she would get these little twitches in her eyes, right?
Mhm.
You could tell she was annoyed, right? And she twitched for a few minutes and she goes, okay, so how are you going to fix it? That gave me such personal growth at that point.
Right.
Because it wasn't like she yelled at me or
Right.
she told me I was wrong. I already felt what
Right,
my
you already
mistake
knew.
was, right?
Yeah.
And it was such a learning experience for me
Yes.
that it changed who I was at the core.
Yeah.
That it was okay that I made a mistake. I was human,
Mhm.
and I went forward and owned my mistakes, and then I fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're talking about. when
Yes.
we're not blaming.
No, we're
We're,
not.
we're allowing ourselves to grow, but that other person is growing too. That
Yes.
you're not
Yes.
pointing the finger at.
That is meta.
That's loving kindness.
Yes, that is what that is. And so if we see yes, this gets deep. Yes, it's hard to understand. But when you understand these things, that's why I went back here. We've been through this before, but we need to go through it until we understand it completely so that you can say, oh, that's just a feeling I had. It doesn't mean anything. It's going to go away. Let me move forward. because we ride on our feelings. Like we do things out of a feeling we have instead of going, wait a minute, let me stop myself and have sati, mindfulness. Now, if I do this, this will probably happen. If I do this, this will probably happen. You have a choice. You always have two choices at least, you know. So if you stop and think about it and give yourself, knowing that it's not about you. Like the only thing that's about you is your thought that you're having. Everything outside of you is not about you. But we want to make it about us. But it's not about us. It's outside of us. Everything. And then we think about things and we bring them in and make them about us, and it's not even about us. And then we begin to suffer over it, because then we begin to have feelings over something that has nothing to do with us. Not about you. Non-self. So these are like it. You're going to go home and contemplate this. I'm sure of it, because it's a lot. I'm giving you like, because it needs to be given. Because how long have we been doing this and we're not, we got to grow. We got to go. Not that you're not growing, you are growing, but you need to know this, and you need to know truth inside of yourself. It's not outside of you. This is truth about you. Each one of us, it's same truth. It's no different. Like my truth isn't different from your truth. I have a physical body. You have a physical body. I have feelings. You have feelings. It's all the truth, right? That's truth. Yes.
And no matter where we are on our path, we will always have, in this life, we will always have the physical body. We will always have the emotions. We will all have the thought.
As long as we're alive, that's what we'll have.
It's yeah, okay. And
So-
we'll always have feelings.
Yes, this is a truth, an undeniable truth. We're made up of this. This is what we're made up of.
It's more like it's what we do with it.
Yes.
Okay. Because
You can't not.
I can't get rid of these things. They're
No.
just, yeah,
No.
I think that's the part that I struggled with last time, was I was like, well, maybe I don't need to have emotions. I need to get rid of my emotions. And I'm like,
Well, what will happen is emotion and feelings are two different things.
yeah.
Okay. And what will happen is once you identify the feelings that you're having, you can stop the emotion from coming in. It will stop it,
So-
depending on how what you decide to do with it.
So let's go back and define feelings and emotions. So feelings is, give me an example of feeling.
So I'm going to say it here: pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral through contact with a sense object.
Oh, so like I feel this pleasantness standing in the sun, therefore I feel the emotion of happiness.
Yes.
So okay, so it's like a sensory thing where it's like
Yeah.
my body's interpreting this.
Yes.
The feeling is this, and that gives me the rises to the emotion of
Yes.
this.
Yes. So if you know the feeling that you're having, okay, the sunshine feels good. Them yelling at me feels bad.
Okay, so like in a situation that feels chaotic, is the feeling the chaos?
Yeah, there's
Or
you have a feeling of that you're feeling the chaos around you.
Okay.
The emotion is when you bring it in and start being like, oh my God.
So because all of us are empaths anyway, and we feel the chaos around us. It's when we take it in and we
We
are
get
feeling-
we
then
get
feel the
chaos with it.
chaotic. Okay.
Yes.
Again, it's what we choose to do.
Yes, because the chaos is not you. But the minute you say, I feel chaos around me and it's making me feel,
Out of control or
boom, you've gone into your emotion. And once you recognize that feeling, okay, it feels chaotic. That's not about me. That's not me. That's them. the minute you start telling yourself this, you're out of the chaos already. You've already taken a step back and been like, oh, I'm an observer. I'm observing their chaos. I do it all the time. There's a lot of chaos in this world, you know. But once you realize that's not my chaos, that's their chaos. It got nothing to do with me.
So let me, so
Anna, can you do me a favor? Can you get me one of those bottles of water?
Yeah.
Go
So
ahead.
there's chaos that's around us, right? I recognize the chaos. If at the end of all of this,
Thank
if
you
I
very
feel
much.
exhausted, will I feel exhausted if I don't take it in, even though there's so much?
Why would you?
I don't know.
I
I
feel
mean, because there's so much energy, and
It's not your energy.
it's not my energy. So the
No.
taking that energy. in
Yes,
is
you're
making
you're
me-
embracing everybody else's stuff.
I do notice like the effort takes a lot of concentration,
Hmm.
and that like when working out, that muscle is like sore, and I feel
Yes.
I'm like whoa, and that's when like I either want to do the walking meditation or.
But look, it's when you said working out,
Mm-hmm.
when you work out in a gym, your body, okay, your body gets sore.
Mm-hmm.
But then after you continue to work out,
It grows.
your body stops getting sore, and you start to get the results that you need or
Mhm.
wanted from continuing to do that.
Yeah.
Same principle. Your mind is a muscle.
Yes.
So it's the same principle. Only what happens is we start to feel better, and then we're like, okay, I'm good. And then we stop paying attention, stop doing what we need to do in order to maintain that. And then we go right back to where we were because we're doing what we were doing before we got to the point of bliss.
Yeah.
You know? So when we have peace is not the time to stop. Like you're either doing one or the other. You're either, cultivating the peace inside of you or cultivating chaos inside of you. One of the two. We've done it all our life. Most of our life, we've cultivated the chaos. We've cultivated the suffering and, looked at things as if we had no control over our suffering, right? That's the way we thought. Oh, this just happened to me. I had nothing, why does I hear this all the time. Why does this keep happening to me? Well, because we keep doing the same thing, but we want a different result. But wanting a different result and actually doing something to get it are two different things. And this is why I go back to this, we have to know that everything that happens in our life depended on something prior to it happening. Like it just doesn't fall out of the sky and happen. Things happen because this took place and then this took place and then this took place. And if you follow it back, you can see it. But we normally just go, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Why does this keep happening to me? But truth is, it keeps happening because we keep having the same thought over and over and over again. So we have to pay attention. Like I speak all the time. I say it. Be careful. Be careful what you say. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Think about what you're saying. I say it all the time to people, and they just look at me like, whatever, But the truth is, I'm speaking truth. Because we are creating things. Something depends on something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every action depends on something. I'm not going to pick up that pen just by looking at it and thinking I want to pick it up. I have to actually act on it. I have to move my hand and pick it up in order to get it in my hand. It's the same thing with everything. And so if you pay attention to what your thoughts are and your feelings are, and you start going, okay, that's a feeling. I don't need to be emotional about that feeling. I can look at that feeling and go, okay, I'm feeling this because I had this thought. And it was not necessary for me to have this thought because this thought created this feeling and I don't like this feeling. Right? If we know these things, then we can start going, okay, let me bring in a different thought. You know, Roger's having a hard time because his roommate has a TV on 24/7. Okay. But he can easily breathe in, breathe out, listen to the rhythm of his breathing, listen to his heart. And pretty soon you don't hear the TV because you're listening to yourself. This is how, but we don't do that. We blame it. Okay. Why is everything, you know, instead of going, wait a minute, I had a feeling. Now I'm in emotion because of this thought I had, because I don't want to hear the TV, but that's a wanting. And when we have wanting, where suffering is going to come, because wanting, if we don't get it, we're suffering. If we do get it, sometimes we're suffering because it's not exactly what we thought we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And everything we speak that we want requires something. And we're not seeing what it requires in order to get it. And then we're like, well, I didn't exactly mean it like that because I didn't know I was going to have to do this.
Like with this job. Like,
Yeah.
parts of it, the transition, looking back on it, because I feel like last time I talked about my job, I was like, oh, it was chaotic, blah, blah, blah. It was an opportunity that I feel like I was given, but at not at the cost, but at the price of you're going to have to grow.
Yeah.
Really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you hinted at it very nicely. And of course, I was like, oh, I can do that. And I can. And just not knowing that those growing pains are there if I'm not willing to learn those lessons the way that I need to, kind of thing. And it's like, well, I wanted the new job and I wanted these things and I said I did, and the universe was like, okay, here's the opportunity, but know the cost.
There's always a cost. For everything.
And it's not like the costs are bad. It's just
learning.
Like expedited growth.
But look, and later you'll look back and be thankful for that.
Yeah, because I look back to every job I've ever had, and I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. They're like, well, that was really traumatic. I'm like, I wouldn't trade it for anything because oh my god, I learned so much. And and I'm learning stuff now.
It's not in jobs, but that's in life and relationships
and
everything.
Like everything. I wouldn't trade anything. It's just, I think it's, again, looking at it and figuring out what to do with it. I can take it as a bad thing. I can look at like the things with work that
it's neither bad nor good. It's just
it is what it is.
Yeah. And especially in the past 2 weeks, work has been I've had to learn to not involve myself in stuff.
Yes.
And step away and be like, this isn't about me. This is not anything I need to be involved in. And I have a coworker who keeps like coming to me with these things, and I'm like, I'm like, okay, I don't have to be rude and be like, please don't talk to me about these things. Like, get out of my office. But I'm like, okay, I don't have to actually comment. I can just be like, okay, kind of thing, and remove myself as much as I can while still being on my team. And it's been not difficult. It's just been different and uncomfortable. And I don't.
It's something new. Anything new is challenging, but that's how growth happens.
It's also when you look at it and you see that it's not about you. There's huge growth there because there's that ego that goes, what do you mean it's not about me? And he goes, oh, they can do it without my perspective. That's a huge one when you step back and you don't see anything and it goes wonderful and you go, huh.
Learning.
It wasn't about me. That had nothing to do about me except that it taught me a beautiful lesson.
Yes.
Yeah, I had like a hard life lesson with work about 3 weeks ago where I was not told that I needed to do something, and my boss is like, no, I remember, I know that I told you this, and I was like, I'm positive you didn't. but the thing happened anyway, and it needs to be fixed and resolved, and it worked out beautifully. But I was told that because and I appreciate how direct she is and honest with you. She goes, I believe that you believe you were not told, and I believe that I did tell you. And I'm like, well, we're now at an impasse. I was like, I don't know what to do with that. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I was
Move
like,
forward.
I was
Just
like,
get it solved.
okay. And I was like, it's not a personal attack against me and my character
No.
or against me and my ability to do my job.
Right.
It was like, okay, this is both of our perspectives of what
Right.
this event is.
And
we
you know,
can't-
sometimes we don't hear what people say. Sometimes they don't speak it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
Or they speak it in a way that you don't hear it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And there's so many. And
I was
then,
like, but now I know.
Yeah.
For
but
sure.
it's an interesting thing because it's not right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's nothing in
It
it. It just is at this point.
Yeah, and it didn't. Sitting there debating, it didn't
Yeah,
change the
yeah.
situation at all. And
Well, she's a good boss, actually.
yeah, and
You know, for her to say that,
yeah,
I believe that you believe that
you didn't hear
you didn't hear
You
it.
didn't get told that.
You didn't get told, but I believe I told you, so here we are.
Yeah,
We both believe that, and that's okay.
yeah, and we had a team meeting about it, and I was very much trying to process what I'm supposed to do kind of in this situation. So I've never been in a situation where
Right.
a person's actually that honest with me
Right.
in a professional setting. So I was
Right.
like, I was kind of like stunned, and I was like, this is great. And she was like, in our team meeting, she's like, well, I think I need to go around and talk about like the fields that we need to work on. And then she looked at me, she goes, you have to have confidence in what you're doing. You need to work on your confidence. She goes, and everything that you do, just be more confident. I was like, okay. I was like, this is another thing I have never had somebody tell me,
Right.
like outside of like, you know, friends and family,
Yeah.
like you need to work on your confidence kind of thing. And then I was like, she's like, are you looking for feedback? And I was like, I currently have none. Like, I don't know what to say. I'm like,
So last
Okay.
week, my new boss said to me, she goes, you communicate wonderful until you're in your emotion. And she says, as soon as you get into your emotion, I cut you off. I don't hear a word you say. And she says, and I just stopped. And I
we're
was
both
like,
learning so much.
oh, wow. And I was like, she goes, and I think that, she says, I think it's odd that I'm telling you this. She says, but I think that's something you need to hear. And I was like, okay.
So how did you feel when she said that?
At first, it was like, it was kind of like a gut, right?
Yeah.
And then the thing was, okay,
Yes.
it is what
So-
it is, and that's a unique
Here-
expression. And
yes.
so, and it was.
So here we are, like people speaking truth, because that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
They're speaking truth, but we're so not used to hearing truth
Exactly.
It always
that
feels
we
like
don't know what to do with
And,
it.
and it's
Yeah.
interesting that to be at this place and they can speak that to you and know that there's no reason to have an emotion involved with it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what was surprising to
Yeah.
me because I was like, and I thought to myself, why aren't you thinking in your mind she's a bitch? You know, that's
Right,
where,
right.
Because at first, I mean, the first immediate reaction I had was like, that was a personal thing, and I took it personally. And for the day, I was kind of mulling it over in how I need to be confident, and I was taking it personal.
But do you agree with that?
100%.
Okay.
And that's the thing, because I didn't want to admit to myself that I do need to be.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? Look, this is okay. What's happening right now is you all are being forced to grow,
Oh, 100%.
you know,
Yeah.
because you know truth, but you don't want to admit truth. So people are speaking truth to you.
It is not coming from where we were expecting it.
Right.
We expect it from you, we expect it from one another.
Right.
But this is that outside of
Yes.
the world saying to us that has no emotional connection
Right.
really to us.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is tapping you.
Yes.
Okay.
This was a
Now,
spat. We
now
should
you
learn
all know what I
how to
mean
describe
when
it.
I say it's a, you know, hey, wake up. Okay, that's your warning. Okay. Don't make them do more.
Right.
You know,
Learn the
all
lesson.
you have to do is pay attention to yourself. Right?
Mhm.
Pay attention to what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what's going on in your mind and what's about to come out your mouth and what you're doing with your body. Think about these things. And I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to everybody, right? Because it's not just happening with you all. This is an expedited thing going on right now. You know, people need to wake up, because if you don't wake up, you'll be in suffering, you know, and nobody wants to suffer, really. I mean, honestly, nobody wants to suffer. So how do we not suffer? We pay attention to what's going on in here. We don't blame it on whatever's going on out there. We have to go, okay, wait a minute. You know, I was unkind with my speech. You know, I said that. I said it to more than one person. I said it to the person I wasn't talking so nicely to. You know, what I said, and just for those who don't know, you know, where Roger is, they were having a hard time getting him an appointment. And I had to get the appointment. And then they were having a hard time getting him a ride. And it's their job. And so I lost my cool. And I was like, if you don't find a ride for him, you won't have a job to come back to. When in reality, I could have not been in my emotion, not been in the feeling, and gone, you know what? How can we work this out together? How can we figure this out? Because he's got to go to the doctor. That would have been much kinder. So all of us are being taught all the time. I learned mine like that. Like I knew it. As soon as I hung up the phone, I knew what I said was unkind. And when he called me back, I said, I am sorry. He said, no. I was like, yes. Because when I say I'm sorry, I'm not saying sorry looking for, okay, it's all right. I'm saying sorry because I did something inside myself that didn't make myself feel good.
And you know at the moment.
Yes. And I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be unkind. I want to be kind in all my situations, even the difficult ones. I want to stay in my kindness. So I'm not doing this for anyone except for myself. And that is another point I wanted to make tonight, because we tend to do things for other people so that they'll think of us in this way. That's not the right reason to do it, and you'll never do it like that. It'll never happen like that. You have to do it because you want to be that person. You want to be kind. That's why you have, if you're doing it, that's why you need to do it. Not because someone else is going to think a certain way of you. Because if that's the reason, you're not going to reach where you want to go. Because it is not possible. It's impossible to reach that thinking about, I want someone else to think of me in this way. It has to be a self journey. A journey with yourself. Of finding you. It's not for the weak at heart. It's not an easy journey. But neither is suffering. And to me, once you get through that and you have the understanding, then it's like when you go to the gym and you reach that point where you're not sore anymore, but your muscles are starting to, not be down here, they're up here where they're supposed to be, right? Then that's how this whole thing works. And then you're in a rhythm of, okay, I know what to do. Not to say sometimes we won't have challenges that we don't pass, but you'll know it immediately, and then you can move forward. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
We got it. I mean, really, this is important. Like, this is truly, like, it's deep. We haven't even scratched the surface. I just kind of went through it quickly because an hour is not enough time to really, we could spend an hour on each one of the aggregates, but if you just begin like this, knowing, okay, I have a physical body. It's made up of all these different things, but it's really not who I am. It's just my body. It's just my body. Now, I have to pay attention to the thoughts that enter this body. And you can't stop your thoughts from coming in. People think that you cannot. They're going to come. And it'll drive you crazy trying to stop your thoughts. You can't. But you can look at them. You can look at those thoughts and you can say to yourself, okay, what kind of feeling am I having right now with this thought? Look at that. What kind of feeling am I having? What kind of emotion is that bringing up, this feeling I'm having? What kind of emotion am I having? Okay, let me switch gears and let me bring myself into my breath and let me look at the truth. See, most of the time, if we're in feelings, we're not in truth. We go from feeling right into our emotion. But if we look at truth and we pay attention to the now, and I'm not saying you can never look at the future and plan for the future or never ever look at, something that happened in your past. I'm not saying that. But just know that if you're going into your past and you stay there, you're going to suffer over it. There's 100%. You can't go back because that thought will lead to another thought, will lead to another thought. And the next thing you know, you're either missing somebody or feeling bad about yourself or all that. That's what happens when you dwell in the past. So try to be in the present moment. Try to know what's going on right now. I was in a room with a bunch of people. There were 2 little girls. Everybody was talking about the one little girl. She wanted to tell her story. And at one point, somebody said, okay, what? And she starts talking, but then the grown-ups started talking and and I said, wait a minute, I want to hear your story. I was in that present moment. I was watching what was going on. It had nothing to do with me, but I knew that little girl needed to speak what she wanted to speak because she wasn't being heard. That's how I can do it. It's not about me. I'm not emotional about that little girl. But that's how we can lift them up. We can help the children become good adults who are productive and feel their worth. Most of us don't feel our worth, so we sit in this, blame of ourselves. And we try to blame other people, but we're actually blaming ourselves. It's crazy how that is. So, but if we, pay attention to the children when they're children, we give them metta, we give them loving kindness, we listen to what they have to say. They have something to say. And we teach them your mind and your emotion, your feelings. Let's work on those and guide those children how to deal with that. Because they're worse than we are. They don't know. They don't have the knowledge, so they're like trying to figure it out on their own. But they're beautiful because their hearts are just filled with loving kindness. Children have just these beautiful hearts, and as we grow, we can help them grow too. They don't have to learn what we learned, because what we learned wasn't right. It wasn't truth. Now we're learning truth, but we're old now. Well, you're not old, but we're, a lot of us are old learning it. But the young ones, if they learn it now, oh my goodness, they'll be just beautiful souls. It'll be amazing. We'll have an amazing world to live in if they get it now. It's beautiful. So let's see. It's about time for meditation. So let's take a deep breath. Allow ourselves to be in this present moment. Breathing in, breathing out. Again, breathing in, breathing out. And one more time. Take a deep breath in and breathe it out. Just let our minds sit in this quiet space. As our thoughts come in, just look at them. See what they are. Do you have any feelings about those thoughts? If you don't have a thought, that's okay. Sit in that quiet space for a moment. Just breathing in, breathing out, letting yourself be. Nothing that you need to do, just breathe in and out. Allowing yourself to just be comfortable, just be quiet. Breathing in, breathing out. Whatever thought you have, it's okay. Just look at it. What is it doing? Do you need it? Is it going to create something good? Breathe in, breathe out, let it go. Just let it be. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Allowing yourself to be in this peaceful space. Just allow yourself to sit here in this quiet. No need to do anything. Just breathe. Breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Letting go of anything that does not serve you. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in and let it out. And one more time. Deep breath in and let it out. Metta Jeto Vimuttiya Karuna Jeto Vimuttiya Mudita Jeto Vimuttiya Ubeka Jeto Vimuttiya. Okay. Have a good week. Be in your own space. Don't take other people's junk. You don't need it. Know your thoughts, know your feelings, and have a beautiful week. See you next week.
Kim has